Welcome to UnScripted Gaming. Welcome back. We are back. We're on a different channel.
Woo!
We have new art.
What up, doe?
Same
Mark is
cussing.
Back. Josh is back.
Don't worry,
Yo,
there'll still
I'm
be
here.
more cussing. I promise.
I promise to cuss in the first minute of the show.
Wow. Gentlemen,
That's what I can commit to.
we're in a new space, as you can see here. We're going to try something new. Show's going to be a little bit different from now on.
Smells weird in
Nothing
here.
bad. Mm-hmm.
Tastes funny, too.
And we've been gone a couple months. I'm in a new location. Ask me anything you want about Texas, and I will tell you what you need to know.
What does
Red.
Felix think about Texas?
He's cool with it. I mean, there's a bunch of pollen in the air, so I think he has a little bit of allergies because he sneezes more often. But he's still cool with it. Likes playing around. Likes taking long walks.
Is it hot AF?
Nah, it was 86 degrees outside today, so... But when people ask me the question, how hot is it? I remind them that I lived in Iraq for a year. Bring it on! I don't know what you think you're going to give me, but I'm pretty sure I'm used to it.
Also, who else is on this podcast?
There is Mike.
Oh, that's me. Hi. Hello, everyone. We're back.
He did already.
There's Josh.
What up, yo? Mike, he did already introduce us, so...
I did, but it's good for a reintroduction.
You know what? We're so awesome, we deserve a reintroduction on our relaunch.
Hell yeah. So let's start
Agreed.
with Mike. How you been? It's been about 3 or 4 months. Mike, how you been?
For the boys and girls at home, I know they can't see the video feed right now, but Mike, can you please zoom out your camera and turn off the black and white, for God's sake?
I'd rather you not get
hold
into
on.
the
Give me just
foibles
one
that
sec.
is
Never!
Mike.
I will never do this. Not once.
One day we will have a video feed of what we look like, and today is not that day, but you will see the shenanigans that is Mike.
I like to work my magic. But I've been doing great, Ray. I've been. I don't know if we want to jump in too early to this, but I've been playing some pretty cool games, and I'd like to talk to you guys about them.
Well, we'll get to that. I want to ask, since you're doing good, which is good to hear. Josh, how you
Doing well.
I'm doing
well.
splendidly. I've had a career change since our last podcast, and things are going well. I'm a corporate douche now. It's fantastic. Ask me about
Bottle service.
bottle service, cocaine, and, the
Stacy from accounting.
Stacy from accounting, and the dismal art of Fridays.
What's your favorite app at Fridays?
My favorite app at Fridays is The Wolf of Wall Street.
Wait, is that actually an appetizer at TGI Fridays?
Yeah. How
As you
many
can tell
times
by
have you
Mike's
watched
side
American
note.
Psycho this week and not gotten the subtext of it? How many times?
I'm sorry, Mike. Are you saying there's subtext in that movie? No, it is
Oh,
very
boy.
direct.
Oh boy, we got some work to do. Okay.
Wow.
But yeah, so I'm swell. I'm splendid. I've also been playing some cool games. And on a side note, not that this has anything to do with games, but just being a general nerd culturist, my daughter, the baby Metroid, has recently taken a huge affinity for Pokemon. As in, she will ask to watch Pikachu, and she's a year and a half old, and she'll look at the TV and go, Pikachu! And it's great. As a dad, I am freaking thrilled that she has fallen in love with my childhood show. So, yeah, things are
Man,
great.
that is cool. That
Right?
is cool.
Right?
Yeah.
She'll literally go like, Pikachu! And I'm like, fuck yeah, kid, let's watch some Pikachu.
Good on Pokemon for keeping it going for, like, how many decades now?
We're watching the OG series, too, right now.
Just tell me when she starts watching Zoids, and then she'll have my attention.
You went there. You had to.
I did, yes.
I keep forgetting it exists until you bring it up. I keep wanting it to die, but you won't let it.
Nope.
So,
Every- Every time you mention Zoids, a producer somewhere thinks, maybe it's time to bring back Zoids.
No producer.
Not with any modern production. The same production that it was
Okay.
back then.
Oh God.
If you go into a bathroom and say Zoids wasn't half bad 3 times while looking in the mirror, a Netflix exec will appear behind you and greenlight 10 episodes.
Live action. Live action versions of it. With like the biggest D-list actors you ever heard of.
I tried it myself the other day, and Jeff Bezos got there like 2 seconds later, but missed it by that much.
Oh man, missed it by that much.
So, guys, I know we're chomping at the bit to talk about the games that we've been playing in the past couple months. Mike, you seem really eager about it. Let's start with you. What games you been playing?
Well, let me talk about a couple of smaller things I've been playing before some of the heavy hitters.
Sure.
One little game I have been playing and really enjoying a lot is a game called Into the Breach. It's a PC strategy game from the makers of FTL, and it is from Subset Games. And it's really cool because it kind of has it's kind of like a little... you only have like 3 kind of mech. It's like a grid-based kind of strategy game, and I think just generally, I really like that kind of pixely art style, but it's like has cute pixely art, but like the tone is still kind of dark in a way that's interesting. Like the game starts with you. The concept is that like you have pilots of these mechs, and they're jumping in different timelines to try and like fight off this bug invasion, and then the first thing that happens to you in the game is that you're dropped into like an impossible battle, and you have to pick one of your pilots to send into another timeline to maybe beat the bugs. And it like the game does a good job of having this kind of like not only like harrowing tone in like the presentation, but like also in the gameplay, because you only have 3 guys, and they have like certain abilities, and different mechs can do different things with like pushing and pulling guys and hitting multiple targets and stuff. But eventually there'll be like 6 or 7 bugs that are all attacking different things, and it's like it does a really good job of like making you have to make tough sacrifices to like win, and it just feels, it does a great job like contextualizing that in the story. Like it feels really cool to like put a mech in front of a train that is carrying innocent people and have the mech like take a big hit of damage, but to protect the train. And it feels really like, oh no, this is bad, when you just realize that there's nothing you can do about something and something's gonna hurt somewhere. And it just kind of adds to this really cool tone, and it feels really good when you succeed. So that has been really cool. I think that's only like it's like $20 or something, but I've really enjoyed that.
I really want to play Into the Breach, but it's got the one thing that keeps me from playing it, and it's not on iPad or Switch. And that's the only thing keeping me off of it.
I know, I feel like I don't know how well it would translate to Switch. I think playing it with a controller would be difficult. It's because it kind of has a lot of like the precise kind of details of FTL. Okay. But FTL did come to iPad, and I think Subset is looking into other platform options. So you might, I bet if you hold out, that might be coming down the pipe for you. So keep an eye out for that, because FTL did come to iPad, so it could happen.
I'm looking forward to it. If it happens, I'll definitely pick it up, because it's got my favorite words in it, mechs.
Yeah,
mechs and strategy game, and I'm down with that.
It's really fun. I really like it. Another quick game I've been enjoying. I've been playing. I just forgot what I was gonna say. I've been weirdly enough, I've been like getting back into like Ghost Recon Wildlands in kind of a weird, mindless way, where I set aside all the weird jingoism of the game that makes me uncomfortable. But like I've just been messing around with it. It's just like a fun, chill, hey, here's a base, be tactical and take out the base kind of game. Like. That is not quite as zany as like a Far Cry, but is still kind of like loose. So that's been kind of interesting. I've been playing some more Destiny. We actually did the raid a couple weeks ago and with our group, and that was pretty. I think that went pretty well. Josh participated in that, and
that was definitely. I'll jump in a little bit. Just talk about the raid. It's one of those things that seems really daunting when you hear about it in the lead up. And as somebody who does not like spoilers or, to really feel like I'm getting just walked through an area, I cannot underestimate how, important it is to have somebody who at least have some sense of what they're doing, explaining things, and 2, even if you have somebody who says, hey, we need to do this thing, there's a lot of execution and minutia still that you have to kind of get you to, come to terms with and get a grip on while you're doing the different areas of the raid leading up to the final conflict, which in itself has different puzzles and challenges and things you kind of have to practice and get to terms with. It was a lot of fun. Definitely a really good way to lengthen the life of Destiny. One of those things you don't want to do all the time, but now that I and our group of friends know what we're doing, we can honestly get it done in 2 short playthroughs or 1 long weekend playthrough, and still have get a lot of life out of what's in Destiny right now. Also really makes me want more of that kind of content. Just say like, hey, I want another piece of the game that is this big, that is this complex, that is this separate from what the base game is, to learn and master and explore as Destiny evolves over the next few years. But it was a lot of fun, and I'm really glad we did it.
Yeah, I certainly had a blast, kind of leading everybody through it. And for those who don't know, a raid is like it's like a in Destiny. It's a 6-man team of where you're put into kind of different activities, puzzles, and challenges and it requires pretty precise coordination. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Josh. That like I appreciate people who go in blind, but it just seems. Just the raw time commitment is just something that I don't think is realistic for me to do that, and just like not having that, like you said, just the execution itself and the uniqueness of it compared to anything else in Destiny, I think makes it my favorite part of Destiny 2. It's some of the best content. I think it's some of the best storytelling in Destiny as well. With some of the lore kind of stuff going on around the kind of exterior of it, and some of the item descriptions from things you get that has interesting hints for future encounters. So I think they've added 1 chapter to it, like 1 little chapter 2 in the first expansion, and there's another one coming up in the next expansion coming out like in early May. So there is some more raid stuff to be done. So that's kind of a quick summary of some of the other things I've been playing, but I think the first heavy hitter that we should talk about is it's a pretty cool game because it came out so early in 2018, and it feels so wonderful to be.
Before you get to it, I know what you're about to say, because we're all going to jump in on that game, and when Josh will talk about the other games he's playing, Josh, don't mention that game. You know what he's going to say.
Okay. I'm shutting up.
Yeah. For me, not a lot besides the game we're going to talk about in un momento. A couple things that I've been dabbling in, and we might talk a little bit more about this as well. Just some crazy shit popping off in the Fortnite world since we've been gone. Might get into that a little bit later, but I have indeed played a bit of Fortnite with a few friends of mine who have badgered me basically into downloading the game and giving it a shot. In my first match, I got several kills and we went pretty far. So it's it's not as with the building and stuff. I thought it was gonna be a little more complicated to kind of get to terms with how the building works in that game and what to do. But honestly, it's very easy and very fluid to build as you go along. Some of the resource collection to do the building is kind of obnoxious leading up to the parts in the fight where you're gonna need to build. And I do not feel that the gunplay is very good. It just doesn't feel good. It's very it does feel cartoony, and it's very imprecise. Now I will say that the guns have a very satisfying weight to them, but it's really when you're trying to like have a firefight and you're in close quarters, it's very obnoxious to have these guns that just feel so sluggish, and like you basically have this giant fist coming out of the front of them rather than an actual bullet. That's it. It's a weird metaphor, but that's kind of how I feel. It just
sometimes I think for me it just feels like I can't dial in the accuracy. Like it feels like it's very I always mess up this part in science class, but it's okay. It's like you're aiming this way, and it's definitely going to be within this little cone, but it just feels like it's all over the place within that little circle, and it just. I think I've seen that they're trying to rework some of that, some of the core shooting of it, but it just. I don't know if it's just that I just haven't really been great at the combat. I haven't played a ton of it, but I'm going in my high, very self-important image of myself, in which I am the purest and bestest gamer. I'm just going to assume it's the game's fault that I'm bad and not just my fault. So,
yeah, that was rough. I did not like any of that.
Truth hurts.
But I also, unfortunately, agree with you too. Granted, I got a lot of kills in my first few matches, so
I don't know what they call it. Oh, okay.
I have not won yet. I mean, I've only played like 4 or 5 matches, but I've gotten kills in every single one of them so far.
Have you posted about it on your Snapchat?
I have not. I have not posted about it on any social media. In fact,
have you played it with Drake?
I have not played it with Drake. But it's not bad. Like I enjoyed what I played. I think the gunplay isn't fantastic, but it's not the worst gun I've ever shot in a video game. I enjoyed playing it with the group of the squad that I played it with. But I still prefer PUBG. I just think PUBG is a better game. I like that style better. I like not having to collect resources and break apart buildings. I like not having to worry about building. I like the tension that's in PUBG a lot better than Fortnite. Fortnite just does not have the same tension and sense of dread that you have in PUBG. The other thing is I've actually started playing a little bit of Pokemon Moon. Not very far in. I'll have a report soon. But yeah, let's okay. Ray, anything else you've been playing?
Yeah, so in my move to Texas, I played some Switch games. I played Celeste. It's kind of a platformer. Yeah, it's a time-based platformer game. When you mess up, you go back to your checkpoint, so on and so forth. And it's got this really cool story about the main character grappling with anxiety. I dug it. I dug it a lot. I highly recommend anyone that has like an extra $20 on the Switch to go ahead and buy that game and try it out. If you like platformers, because if you don't like platformers, this
would it be reductive to say this is like Super Meat Boy?
Don't you dare say it.
It's the Dark Souls of platforming.
Okay. I thought you were going to say something else. Damn it!
No cusses. This is a Christian podcast. No cussing.
No.
I'm just kidding.
No.
We can go. We can. That can be our unscripted gaming, retirement phrase. not everything is the Dark Souls of everything else. Because
can we talk about that later for the one game I want to talk about that with? That gets into another game.
I agree. Let's do that. That's a good transition.
Thank you. That game was good. I played a little bit of PUBG. I got a couple chicken dinners in between the break. Just 2 of them. And that game is still good. I played one match with you, Mike. And we ran roughshod over some people when we were not recording. But when we were recording, you'd swear we were
bad.
Just trashed here.
I
don't know what happened.
I don't play I don't play PUBG enough to get any better than anyone else who's playing it regularly. So I just actually can't beat anybody in any sort of firefight ever.
I'm playing the game that I'm still trying to convince Mike to play because it's right up his alley of games that he'll love to play. Monster Hunter World. And I dumped 75 hours plus into Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, and I dug it. I like that game. And then I was convinced by someone to get Monster Hunter World. They said it's like everything you wanted Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate to be, but better. And so I started playing it, and that person was not lying to me. All of the quality life improvements are just there. No longer, for anyone that's a Monster Hunter fan, when you drink a health potion, it used to be they drink the health potion, then they flexed. And Monster Hunter is one of those games where every single millisecond counts. So the fact you're drinking a health potion and then they take the time to flex right there, you're just like, stop!
Flex or die.
There's an eldritch abomination trying to eat you! Don't flex! Oh, but that's gone. You can actually heal while moving now.
Almost there.
And you can heal with a weapon equipped. And no, I'm lying. You can't heal with a weapon equipped. But you can heal while moving now at a reduced pace. The important thing is the character no longer flexes.
I'm sure it's wonderful. I'm sure that's good.
And you have a permanent palico. Always great. Monster Hunter World, totally great. If you love Monster Hunter games, it's back. It's back in a big way.
No, he's not.
Then I've also been playing, and I just completed.
And the game, our friend over here is making some goofs. He's on the goof cam.
Oh my god.
Because it's called God of War.
Why don't they just call it God of War 4? It's clearly part 4. Just call it that.
Well, it's a very much a tonal reset and gameplay reset. So I'm okay with it being kind of a soft, kind of just going back to the original title. For those who don't know, the original God of War series on the PlayStation 2 and 3, it was very much like a chaos, like a Devil May Cry, crazy, high combo beat 'em up kind of game. And this one is very much not that. It still definitely has some combat, but it's much more kind of open world. It's not a super a truly open world, but it's much more kind of free in terms of it's a much less linear game than previous titles, and the combat is much more, I guess, is grounded the right word?
No, actually, if we can spend just a little bit talking about God of War, I think that game is special for a lot of different reasons.
I would agree. I'm very much enjoying it so far.
You are correct. It is a huge soft reboot. Well, it's kind of a hard reboot of gameplay, of storytelling. Because in the story of the first 3 God of Wars, I have them sitting on my shelf in my
story.
It was just about Kratos just... There's a story there. It's a Grecian story about revenge. Those stories exist. And it's fine. They're fun. I mean, it's all about Kratos just killing all of the Greek pantheon gods, and that's a story. And his trials and tribulations to do it. But this one is a really deep bonding story about Kratos bonding with his
boy,
sometimes bratty son. Drinking game. Take a sip of your drink, any hard drink, whenever Kratos says the word boy, and you will not make it.
That was a little too Cletus. Boy,
you will be.
I can't. I just can't do it.
He barely calls him by his name. I love the combat in the new God of War. His new it's not the Blades of Chaos, but the Leviathan axe is great. It's a good little mix-up. It's got great little puzzle elements to it, more than I expected. I love the bonding relationship that Kratos develops with his son Atreus throughout the game, because it kind of starts off where you don't really know, like, does Kratos actually like this kid or not? And as you kind of progress through the game, you know, it starts to kind of answer that question one way or another. I really don't want to get into spoilers because the game's, like, really, really fresh. So none of that. It's excellent. And God of War is always known for this, just having great set pieces. And some of the set pieces and cinematics in this game are gorgeous for Norse mythology speaking, just larger than life
pantheon of gods and that whole mythology. And definitely, like you said, anyone who had any concerns about this, about the alleged grounding of God of War, there's definitely, based on I don't know how far I am through the story, but I've definitely seen some stuff that has been pretty epic in scope in terms of what you're fighting and encounters. So you will not, that stuff is still there, don't worry. It just, you know, when it comes, there's very much a great build up towards it, and it definitely kind of, because they've kind of reset the scale and scope of it, that's stuff that, you know, it's just like compared to anything else in the game, it just is just mind blowing, and it totally works. We already talked about, like, the world building, which I really like. The environment's really cool. For certain reasons, I think some of the sound design in a couple of scenes is just super rad, and there hasn't been a lot of times when I've been playing a game where I've been, like, literally out loud to myself, like, oh wow, oh boy. Like, there hasn't been, like, that just doesn't really happen, and that happened in this game. So there's some really cool moments that are really just like, oh wow.
I don't want to give it away, but there's one thing that happens. I think I know what I'm talking about.
Yes. If you've seen a trailer, you've probably seen it, though, so it's not that big of a deal.
There's a moment where you meet a big thing, and when that big thing starts doing another thing, and the sound
your
design
TV
for
makes
that,
a sound it's never done before, and in a way that is really cool.
I'm trying not to give away too much.
And might shake something loose if something isn't screwed down.
Yeah, if you've seen the trailer, you put 2 and 2 together, and you'll come up with the 4. When this thing talks to you, there's never a moment where that isn't just amazing in the game presentation.
Like, it's really cool. There's a lot of.
I was wondering,
really cool
how did you do that? What sort of sound mixing did you do to produce this? Because I think you hit the nail on the head. I've never heard that particular register of sound coming out of my speakers. It's like, the scale of that game. I know it's an open world game, so everyone always talks about the scale of an open world game. But the scale of this open world game does something special with it.
it's not only larger than life because there's a lot to do, and of course there's a lot of like there's literally in your menu a checklist of things to do like a proper open world game should have. But this checklist of things to do, you can start running down, and the world actually gets bigger as you. I don't know how to best describe that. There are certain things in the world just bigger. The more you go on than what you believe it would be. It's not like a skyscraper in Grand Theft Auto 5. It's like this enemy is stupidly enormous and you have to fight it. Good luck to you. What have you. Yeah, it keeps opening up. Like, it keeps getting bigger. The world that you're exploring just... There's actually a part when I beat the game where there was so... I think I told you guys this in our chat. There's so much game left that I'm curious if I would sound silly for saying I think there's actually too much game. Because there's a certain point where it's... There was a certain point, at least for me when I'm playing, where I'm like, I'm really glad this exists for someone that cares about it. But holy crap, that's a lot of game. You're asking me to do... And it's not just like little pieces, like, go kill this group over here, go...
Yeah, I mean, I'm really curious to see... I mean, I'm still kind of playing through the story. But based on, what I've heard about people's thoughts about the game, I'm really curious to see... what they do next. I mean, not to say like there isn't still a lot of stuff to dig through and get from this. I'm just really I think they've got a great foundation to do some new stuff and there's still lots of room to like build on the gameplay. And I guess one kind of, I don't know how much more we want to dwell on God of War, but I mean, I'm just sidebar. I'm really liking it as someone who's never played any other God of War game. I have really enjoyed this game. So don't. I mean, and you can kind of. It's pretty easy to pick up on the beats of like if you haven't played those games. I mean, obviously there's like context that is helpful, but I haven't felt like that's reduced my enjoyment of the game at all. And just like it kind of is crazy how much. Sony Santa Monica Studios are able to get out of a PlayStation. Like, it is. I mean, there's definitely like a lot of tricks that they're kind of using to disguise, just to kind of disguise the scope in ways. But it's clear that there's like the craftsmanship is apparent because it's just, man, it's really cool to see that. I guess it's the larger thing for Sony. It's like it's really cool to see them investing heavily in big scope, kind of single player games that just do an incredible job of showcasing I mean, it just does not sometimes it just does not make any sense how this is running on a PlayStation. Like, it just blows my mind. It's like this looks so good. Like, this is, and it's not just like the raw graphics are insane, but like it's just the design and the art and the all the design behind that is so intelligent too, and it works so well together. So it's just, I think it's just really cool to see how well coordinated and clearly how much effort was put into just that the visuals of the game from the ground up, and it's special. It's really worth, if you have like this game is why a lot of people are gonna finally get a PS4. Like it is a flagship console moving. Like, I mean, it's like, the true blockbuster, and they've, based on what I played, like they've absolutely knocked it out of the park, and it's crazy.
If I had negatives to say about it, and I don't have many, because I thoroughly enjoyed everything I played about it. If you play the game for about 5 hours, it runs into that open world trapping of okay, you've literally seen every enemy type in the game. Now it's just recolors of different ones from here on out. After probably like the 5-hour mark. There's like one certain point where you go to like a new location and you see some new enemy types, but that'll be it. That's like the extent of what you're getting. And that's fine, you know, that's the same. That happens in every single God of War game. That happens in most open world games. It's nothing new. I do love some of the world building that's done from the... Because Sony Santa Monica didn't ignore the other 3 God of War games. It does make very small, and then as the story progresses, very large hints and callbacks to the other games. And it's because Kratos is, what? It looks like he's in his 60s.
He's not that. I would say he's like
much
in
older
his
now.
late 40s, 50s.
Well, see, I don't know, because he's a god, and he ages differently because of that.
He's a demigod.
Well, yeah.
He looks like someone in his 50s.
So actually, if you'll allow me to adjust my
Well,
glasses,
actually,
when you beat God of War 1, he ascends into godhood. And then in God of War 2, he loses his godhood, then at some point he gets it back. I don't know.
What? Huh?
Hey, there's a story in the game, damn it. The story is there. It's not rich. It's... Speaking of which, speaking of a rich story, there's one last game I played during our break, and I beat Nier Automata on all the other paths. The last time I checked in with it, I beat only Route A. Then after much convincing from Mike to just keep pushing through it, I decided one day, okay, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna really give this a shot. I'm going to Route B right now. I beat Route B. I was like, all right, that was kind of wicked. That's kind of nice. I beat Route C.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm here to stay. Where's this going? Then Route D and
yeah.
Oh.
And like
then Route E. I'm not gonna lie. Route E
made me tear up too.
I'm a grown man.
I think, like I said during our Game of the Year podcast, I'll probably play games with better combat. I'll probably play games with better graphics. I'll probably play... There are a lot of things individually about Nier that will definitely be exceeded by other games. But I really don't think I will ever forget that game. Like, just the characters, like, the storytelling. Like, just... It's a game that I feel like... Actually... has themes and motifs and builds on them and pays them off well, and it's not just like a game about robots or like our robots are people, and it's like, no, dog, what are people? And it actually like does interesting stuff with that question, instead of like, there's a lot of very easy AI like tropes for that game to fall into, and it doesn't. And then
it goes much deeper than that.
It sets a very clear, like, kind of... I mean, like I said, it sets up to have those tropes, and then it just completely, like, throws them out the window, does something completely different, and then... It's an ending in a game that feels like it has consequences in a way that literally no other game does.
To be fair, the first Nier game had a similar ending. I looked this up on the wiki, because after I beat Nier Automata, I went ahead and subscribed to Yoko Tara's Twitter, because he instantly became one of my favorite game designers. You're now in the top 5, Yoko Tara. Congratulations. That was amazing. But I started researching all of his previous work, and the first Nier game, the one that nobody played, Nier Gestalt and Nier, I forget what the other subtitle is. Those have similar endings, but the combat is bad. And that's the thing with Yoko Taro's like previous games. He always told these great stories, but the games just weren't fun to play. So Platinum Games making this, because Platinum Games has been, let's call it what it is, they've been making some bad games lately. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I see you, Platinum Games. The game wasn't good. Star Fox Zero, I see you, Platinum Games. That game was not good. That was not a good video game. Then they made this, and now what happened? Like a year later. It's like they were sitting on their talent and sitting on their like ambition, and they were just like, we just need a proper direction, and then they make this dynamite
all glory to mankind
game of probably one of the best games ever made.
Man, that game
I don't say
rips.
that lightly. Nier Automata is definitely one of the best games ever made.
Oh,
easily.
And it builds. It has themes. It builds on them throughout the game.
And
like
the soundtrack,
the instrumentation gets more complicated.
The soundtrack of that game.
The game is so good. Oh my
God. And I want to point out, it's not a multiplayer game at all. Can you imagine that that just beautiful games can sell well, critique well, people give them rave reviews, and they don't have to have multiplayer? It's like you don't need multiplayer.
Huh,
or loot
weird.
Boxes. I went there. In the video.
Yeah, but what if you didn't need
a
campaign? Huh?
Do we want to get into that? Do we want to talk about fun and Dragon Ball, or do we want to get into that?
I said that Nier Automata rips, but if we're gonna talk about
I want to talk about
the dopest games of 2018, we need to talk about the game that slaps like nothing else, and it's Dragon Ball FighterZ. Oh my god, that game is so good. It's amazing. It's Dragon Ball. It's a character fighter. You got people swapping in. They're doing combos. They're doing cannon supers. Oh, it's so good. Shit, that game is so good. Sorry.
It's kind of funny that the most hype fighting game this year that's not Smash Brothers, whenever that comes out, is actually Dragon Ball and not Marvel vs. Capcom. Because Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite kind of died in like a poor, very sad trash fire. And then Dragon Ball FighterZ comes out and it's just like, remember all your favorite characters? What if they all just fought each other in a Guilty Gear Arc System style game? And you will sit back, you're like, keep talking. I want to hear every other word that's about to come out of your mouth. And you're like, no, hear me out. Everything's going to be great. It's going to make callbacks to all Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, and Dragon Ball. All the characters are going to be beautifully animated. Vegeta's going to be the best character in the game.
Man, it really makes me sad that they're adding that some people data mined that game and they're adding regular Goku and regular Vegeta. So you'll literally be able to have 3 Vegetas, and it makes me really mad.
Oh my gosh, Strike Team Vegeta will be complete. It'll be Vegeta.
I'm just gonna have to keep working on Big Boy, Team Big Boy, and
oh yeah, so Broly is in the game, and Broly, much like in the anime, is an SOB. He just walks every time I do like a certain attack against Mike, and he's playing Broly. My mind still kind of snaps a little at how much super
it's really
armor Broly
quite
gets
stupid.
Plows right through one of Vegeta's punches.
But I think, like, generally speaking, like, the things I like about the game, I mean, I'm still probably a beginner in, like, an Arc. I've never played an Arc Systems fighting game before. But I kind of, this is gonna sound a little strange. I kind of like how it has a soft Super Smash Bros. Approach, in that the characters, I mean, have like quarter circle A always throws a fireball for every character, or this special move is always done by quarter circle Y or quarter circle X, and it just varies from character to character. Obviously, there are specific combos and kind of chains that are character unique, And that's where like the greater depth of the game lies, is kind of figuring out the super crazy combo chains. But I've loved how like approachable the game is. Like compared to, I really liked Injustice 2, but it's just like remembering, like having to like study a character to do like just a crazy like dial a combo just to even do like one thing. That in Dragon Ball it's basically, I love how it's really, the game makes it really easy to do really cool stuff very quickly, and that makes me more engaged to like learn the basics, and then now that I've kind of gotten that, look into like the combo challenge mode and learn like, okay, well I can do like the auto combo stuff, but I know that there are better combos for these characters. Let me go into the really great training mode where I can set this character to keep jumping or block my follow-ups, so I can make sure that like I'm doing a better job stringing together combos as fast as possible. Like all that like technical detail stuff around that it builds into to like not only help get you into the game and make it approachable, but to help you get better at it. As someone who's trying to get better at it, I've really appreciated. And plus it's just like gorgeous. Like it looks just like a 3D version of the show. And when you get Trunks like cutting up Frieza when you get the cannon ending, and like Bardock getting blown up by Frieza, and Cell melting people with Kamehameha, and
when Goku gets beaten by Beerus and it does that whole cutscene there.
Beerus is so sassy. I love him.
They got that new character, Android 21.
I played with her a bit in the story, and she seems pretty solid. But I haven't messed around enough to say anything. I know that Goku Black has a ridiculous uppercut, and Krillin has little itty bitty baby arms, which just feels very appropriate. I
don't know why anyone would play Krillin. Or Yamcha. Yamcha, I've gotten beaten by Yamcha.
Yo, Yamcha is good, okay? Yamcha is pretty legit. You need to play someone better than me who's good at Yamcha, but Yamcha is pretty good. And Android's...
No, I've been beaten by Yamcha, but it wasn't like a good beat. And it was like, okay, you won against me. Good for you.
And Android 16 is hilarious because he can A, dunk people, and B, suicide and instantly kill anybody, which is amazing.
Oh yeah, you want to go ahead and when you play the game like I did for like, okay, I've been in practice mode for about 3 hours. Okay, I've beaten a couple of friends. I've beaten a couple people in these ring matches. Let me go ahead and go to the online mode and hit casual and see what happens. Man, you let someone show you how bad you are at the game. And I swear to God, I just put my fight stick down, took a drink of my water because I was like, "Oh, here comes his 70-hit combo." He's about
That's hilarious.
The moment it's like hit confirm, you're going for a ride, and then your character's just flopping over the screen. Pressure.
But man, it's just like
even
some of the matches, like
what's gonna happen?
Like even some of the matches, like I've done with Ray, I felt like they've had just a really great like cinematic moments or comebacks, and like you get like when you finish with the super, you get the destructive finish where it shows like a quarter of the planet just being blown up, and it's just like, oh, this is so cool. Like, man, the game is so hype. I just freaking love it. I can't wait to see what they do with like more characters and stuff. It's just, and I feel like I barely really dug into the roster that's in the game right now, and it's already got a really great roster. So, man, that game is I really like that game. It's so hype.
To watch some Evo matches of this game.
Oh man, it's so good.
To watch some people just like just set their fight sticks down, and you're just watching Goku just wail on a fool. That's what I want to see. I haven't seen Goku on the big screen. Someone playing like Vegeta or Super Saiyan God
It's
Vegeta
canon.
or Cell, just beating the hell out of people for some money. That's what I want to see.
Is Super Saiyan Vegeta your favorite character?
Oh, my favorite character is, yes, it's Super Saiyan Vegeta. My second favorite character is, you already know the answer to this, Super Saiyan God Vegeta.
If they add a third Vegeta to the game, I'm actually going to uninstall it. I will no longer play that game.
The third Vegeta comes in, I see your Steam updates.
See, that's the problem, is,
uninstalled
like, I really like Cell, but I clearly should have picked a character which I knew that there were, like, multiple versions of. Like, I should just switch to Goku and just start doing Goku, so I can play as, like, 3 Gokus.
I haven't unlocked Super Saiyan God Goku yet.
I think if you buy the character pass,
I'm not gonna buy. So I already dumped $140 into this game by buying the game. Don't look at me.
No, I'm
like
looking
that,
at
Carl.
you like that.
Buying
Yeah.
the game, buying the game, and then after playing with Mike for one day, I'm like, this is the most hype fighting game I've played in years. And then buying the DLC the same
I
day.
really wish I should. I
Okay.
should have recorded that because it was literally he
Time
was
out.
just like dying.
Time
It
out.
was hilarious.
Timeout.
Yeah,
So you're
yeah, yeah.
So you're telling me you bought the game and you bought DLC for the game, but that DLC did not include the characters for the game. Fighting games being pretty much reliant on the characters, so what the did you buy?
So I bought the character pass. Hear me out. It's awful, and I don't like myself for doing this. But it unlocked Broly, Bardock, and a guaranteed 6 other characters that come out later this year. So I basically bought a promise. You can make fun of me all you want. And that's not including the next day I bought a fight stick. So there's my $140 I spent on
Bardock is really badass, too. He's so cool.
So
He can't
if
throw
you
fireballs for crap though. He can't
buy the
Kamehameha.
character pass or the DLC, whatever. You don't actually get the characters. You just get the ability to unlock the characters.
No, you got the characters. He's you get Super Saiyan God Goku and Super Saiyan God Vegeta are separate thing. Those are the ones you can
That's a
unlock.
different character pack.
But you can also through the arcade mode. But you can also like pay $2 to unlock them or something.
Gotcha. I was about to say, I thought Ray just spent like fucking $8,000 to basically buy extra maps and not get the freaking characters, and I was about to lose
So
it.
I've always felt weird about fighting games that add characters as DLC. Because let's be honest,
It's wrong.
It feels wrong because that messes with the meta of the game and you're charging people extra for it. Remember when fighting game characters came on the media, like the cartridge or the disc, and it was up to you to unlock them, not to throw cash at the screen? That being said, I bought every single fighting game character on Smash 4 the day it came out, because I'm that type of hypocrite. When Cloud was announced, I couldn't buy him fast enough. So yes, I'm that person. If the character's interesting enough, I'll probably spend money on it. But yes, you're absolutely right, Josh. It does ultimately feel wrong, because the only way you're gonna adapt to the meta of that game is playing the character yourself and understanding how the character moves and flows. And if you can't do that, you can't get better at the game. So the only way you get better at the game, ultimately, if you ever want to go tournament level,
yeah, but I think tournament. I think for the
that
vast majority of
that
players,
does feel wrong.
I don't think that's precisely relevant. I mean, because tournament level. I mean, what tournament
that's
are we
the
talking
2%
Evo? Because that's
or
0.1% of players.
No, I'm talking your local tournament scene. I'm talking wherever game shop you got downtown or whatever like that. they're hosting like a tournament, and then someone. We'll take this. The last tournament video I think I sent you. In that,
let's put it this way. Like, yeah, maybe you're not gonna be able to go tournament level, but I'm such a casual player. I am never going to buy the character pack. I just can't justify it. I don't play the game enough. As much as I love it, as fun as it is, I can't justify that spend. So I'm never going to be able to play the full experience with YouTube because I can't justify that cost. So there are characters that I'm never going to be able to play, and it's going to segment the game from what we're able to experience together playing online. Which, speaking of online, holy shit, that game has the worst method for getting players and friends to play online. It is unacceptable in 2018 to have a system so... Man, those games had better matchmaking systems than this game right now.
Josh, please don't talk about SOCOM.
Shit.
Please do not. This is not the SOCOM Minute. Welcome to UnScripted.
So let me tell you about a game called SOCOM.
No, don't do it.
Now, hold on. If you're talking about like where you have to like take your avatar and set up a ring match,
it's
I don't
awful
think that's that
because
bad.
you can't build a regular friends list. You can't you can't find your friends from Steam. You have to be talking to them and be like, "Hey, find me and
everyone
follow
go U.S.
me."
Eastern Seaboard. Okay, lobby 5.
Which of the Goku Blacks are you? Oh, I'm that one. It is awful.
Okay, I see what you're. Okay, so I guess I'm just in the 1% category where when it's normally me and Mike setting up a fight, we're already on Discord and talking. Yes, that's me pinky in the air. So for the average person just trying to set up a fight,
first off,
it's kind of bad.
You should not have to Google how to play a multiplayer game in 2018. And the first time Mike and I did it, not only did we try and get in the same server, but somehow did it not. We had to Google how to play multiplayer in the game, and it took more than 10 minutes. And we were on Discord talking together, and it was obnoxious and obtuse, and it shouldn't happen. Frickin' A.
You're right. It is.
I am.
Now that you're actually explaining
He's not
the
wrong.
process for
It's
it,
clunky.
it didn't seem that bad because
I hope they do better. And I feel like it's also been inconsistent with like the match latency, because sometimes it's been perfect, and I mean that honestly there's so many variables into that. Like it could just be my internet, but it's sometimes that's been spotty, like because for a fighting game having just even a little bit of latency really kind of pushes it into unplayable territory. So and like I said, most of the time it's been great, but I've had patches where it's been real rough. But yeah, so I hope they do some more stabilizing on that, and I hope that they do some streamlining on the lobby friends list stuff too. But I think those are definitely valid and complaints that I think they should fix, and I'm pretty sure they're aware of too. So hopefully we'll see some changes about that coming down the pipeline. Man, that game is so hyped though. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that game is rocks. Yes.
Yeah. The game is not kind to you if you don't start picking up on the mechanics of that game, and there are even though what Mike said is absolutely true, they are very easy to get into. If you don't start picking up on the mechanics of that game and you want to play online, you're just gonna get the beatdown, and the beatdown express don't stop. There are no stops on this train. So it's kind of like trial by error. You got to get in there and learn everything. Did you know you're
that's
blocking
why
too
you
much?
got a
Did you know that Dragon
2H,
Rush
baby.
will cancel that block and you get set up for a 25 string combo? No. Well, you're about to learn today.
You're the one who's gonna die. Man, Bardock Super is so hyped.
Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I'm gonna take you for a ride.
It does the one-handed Kamehameha. It's so cool.
I do love Dragon Ball FighterZ.
It's so cool.
Oh, well,
And before, Bardock never went Super
It
Saiyan
is.
except in movies, but who cares?
it is.
It's really cool looking.
He did what? To be fair, it's like his level 3. It's fine. It's fine. It's all good. And I love Bardock. Just because of how silly it is that Goku's dad
It's just
is
like Goku with a
evil.
Rambo headband and less fireball.
It's evil
so
Goku.
Also, Goku's a bad father.
Um.
He's just not a...
Oh, yeah. Have you guys been...
We haven't...
you're watching Kai
Yes.
right now, aren't you?
Yes.
We haven't rewatched it
yeah, you're both
because
watching
my
Kai.
wife has never seen it before. So I'm like, oh, this will be fun. And she has often remarked that Goku is a very terrible father, which she's not. He's kind of like a Labrador. Like he's like a like a Labrador dog. Goku has a heart of gold, lovable guy, but gosh darn it, sometimes he's just not very smart. Like love him to death.
No.
Sometimes he's real dumb though.
So I finished Dragon Ball Super, and which occurs right after Kai, all of Kai. I haven't watched the Boo arc of Dragon Ball Z Kai because I hate the Boo saga so much.
Yeah, we might have to skip that part. I think we might do. I was like, oh, by the way, they fought a pink guy for like 3 years, and first he was big, a big boy, and then he was a little dude, and then he got big again, I think, and then he dies. I forget.
I don't want to get into it. It's
Mark?
silly. It's silliness. But in Dragon Ball Super, you know how you were saying Goku's a bad father? They don't even keep that as like a hidden thing you just figure out as you're watching. Like, the characters start, like, joking and, like, berating Goku in Dragon Ball Super about, like, how absolutely horrible of a human being that he is at times. And he's so dumb, he doesn't...
It's finally holding him accountable.
Chi-Chi,
After all these
there's
years.
one episode that occurs between two arcs where Chi-Chi spends the entire episode railing into him, like, why are you not helping me raise our son? Like, and why don't you have a job? Why don't... And it's just like this beautiful slice of life.
Hey, wait a minute. Is she wrong?
She's not wrong! It's like for 23 minutes of Chi-Chi just ripping into Goku and telling him to get a job, help raise our son, act like a good father for once in your life. And I'm gonna send you a clip
I don't
of
know,
it.
Chi-Chi. I need to train more.
That's what he says! That's what he says! And then he like instant transmissions to King Kai's planet. He's like, I could do that, or blink!
Or I could Fortnite with a squad.
Bleep. When you get to Super, you'll enjoy those scenes because a lot of Dragon Ball Super is actual hot garbage. Some of it's great. I think I said before, the last 4 episodes are sublime and kind of genius, like beautiful pieces of anime.
Well, that's new.
But everything leading up to that is just kind of skip the first 2 arcs. The first 2 arcs are the movies you probably already watched. It's like, what is it? Battle of the Gods and Resurrection F. The first 2 arcs of Dragon Ball, the first like 36 episodes, or 26, the first 26 episodes are those 2 movies stretched out into 26 episodes. And it's awful. Don't watch it. Do yourself a favor and just don't watch episodes 1 through 25. I promise you,
Noted.
you're not missing anything. I promise that. Josh brought up something kind of silly that I guess we should talk about real quick. Because it's kind of like this weird thing that Activision's trying that I, for a lot of reasons, don't agree with. Josh probably doesn't even remember what it was.
I know, I do. It took me a minute, but we're talking about Call of Duty, and now basically all but announcing that they're going to be removing the campaign from the upcoming Call of Duty Black Ops 4 this year.
Where do you start?
I would like to play devil's advocate here, in that I'm advocating for a mega corporation. You know,
Go ahead.
I think nowadays it's easier than ever to tell.
You have no room
I mean,
to
because
talk
things
about.
like trophy data, so you can get people who play games obviously get like trophies or achievements for hey, you completed this level of the campaign, you completed this level of the campaign, and at a certain point they probably had a graph where it's like, okay, if X number of people are, if only X number of players are getting the completed the campaign achievement, and it's costing us Y money to make the campaign, at a certain point, it's not worth it for them to put those resources into that. And it's better off putting it into an element of the game that people are more engaging, are more engaged with. So if their player-based data is telling them that people are spending more time with the multiplayer, and that eventually when those numbers are right, it might make sense for them to maybe drop a traditional story-based campaign and the work that goes into that, and invest that into making a more robust multiplayer and maybe some kind of supplemental co-op, not like big linear campaign type thing. That's what I think their justification would be.
Well, here's the thing, though, and I get that. I do. I really do, but I just can't help but have that feeling that they are just trying to nickel and dime and eke every last cent out of the consumer, rather than giving that person the quote-unquote best value for their multiplayer experience. And I know they probably have data that says a good portion of people do not play with or finish the campaign. But there's something about buying a Call of Duty game or thinking about a Call of Duty game without a campaign that just doesn't feel right. Plus, a lot of signs point to the fact that they were working on a campaign that just wasn't going to come together in time, so they kind of scrapped the project and just said, hey, well, let's just say fuck it and still charge $60 and just give the multiplayer. And I do not believe that they are really truly going to flesh out the multiplayer any extra than they would have if they released Call of Duty Black Ops 4 with a campaign than they are in this current state. I could be wrong, but I'd bet on myself on this one to not be.
So, I actually don't have a problem intrinsically with Activision, Treyarch, or whatever studio has it this year, releasing a multiplayer-only Call of Duty. That's fine. My one capitulation that I would say if you're going to do that, just don't charge $60. Charge 40. Charge $40. The extra $20, that's the savings back to you as a consumer, because there's no single player mode. Because believe it or not, I actually sometimes enjoy some Call of Duty single player modes, like Modern Warfare 1, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops. I enjoyed those single player modes, but if you're gonna take out the single player mode, yeah, just don't charge $40. Don't charge $60. Just say it's $40. Here's your game. We know there's no single player mode. That's where the extra $20 per, because it's not like Activision's broke. You know what I mean? It's not like they're suffering for cash. It's not like they couldn't take a little time to make another Call of Duty game. They're just wanting to release it on time, or maybe they found out, like Mike said, there's enough data to prove that their people don't care about the single player that much, or people en masse. But for the people that do,
yeah, I think kind of like you and Josh said, I think it kind of comes down to, I don't know if we'll ever know 100% sure, but it would be really interesting to see like what the timing of when this decision was made. Like, is this something that they've been seeing for multiple, multiple Call of Duty games, and that they felt like they finally had the data to like justify this? Or if it was like, it was something that was originally greenlit for this project, but like canned late because they're making some kind of weird pivot to something else. It'll be, like I said, I don't know if we'll ever hear the full story there, but I think that would change a lot about how what I would think about this. Like, and kind of like I said, like, I understand if like the data just shows that enough people are like engaging with it for them to spend the money on it. And that's just really just not a driver for the majority of the player base. And then Destiny has, not Destiny, Activision has single player shooting games that have a story focus like Destiny that they might try to steer those players toward or something. But I think that would be interesting to see. I'd love to get more info about when this decision was made in the process.
I'm kind of shocked you just called Destiny a single-player shooter.
There's a large single-player component to that game.
I mean, it's there, but it's built around the multiplayer.
That is true.
Based on Activision's like current release record of games, it's like, here's your Call of Duty. It's Activision Blizzard, so whatever Blizzard releases also is included in their catalog. And Blizzard doesn't release much, to be honest. They don't have to. So there's Call of Duty. They don't even release Spyro games anymore. Then there's Destiny, and I think that's about it. Like, EA has drastically reduced the catalog of games that they put out yearly because they make so much money.
Because they killed Mass Effect.
1 or 2 games. Oh, yeah. Well, that's EA, yeah.
Just remaster Mass Effect, and let's just get it over with.
1 and 2? Man, if there was ever a game... Now, thank you for saying that. If there was ever a sci-fi game in desperate need of a remaster, Mass Effect 1 is on the top of that list. That game is great, but... Man, it has not aged well technologically speaking.
Yeah, that game is...
What are you putting your thumb down for, Josh?
That game is not the most fun to play. The last time I played it, like,
Mass Effect
7
2,
years
though?
ago.
Still good. Josh, I take it you're not a Mass Effect fan. Oh.
I've never played.
Okay,
I just wanted to give you
They're
shit.
good
I thought it'd be
games.
fun.
First
And it was.
2 are great. 3's okay. 3
It's
has
the best Star
got
Trek
its
video
downsides,
game.
but it's still good. You know what? That's 100% fair.
That's what it is.
And I think that's why I like it so much.
Obviously, there's more guns and less, perfected
Andromeda's so bad it
utopian
got a
society.
studio shut down.
A lot more guns, but it's very Star Trek-y in the world building.
Yeah. I think that's why I love it. When you really get down to it, because the lore is just that sort of deep Star Trek-like thing where it asks very difficult questions about AI and what it means to be a human or what it means to just be alive.
And all
at
the
that time.
history with
what
the
is sentience.
different races and stuff. It's
and
really
yeah, there's
cool.
a lot of guns and space travel. And
Oh yeah.
you can get lost in that codex. Yeah, that's a good one. Start the change.org petition. Mass Effect 1 remaster. EA, don't leave money on the table. Andromeda didn't work out.
I'm really interested to see because Anthem, for those
man.
who don't know, is
I know you guys are loving Destiny too.
is the
You guys- are you guys
Electronic
following
Arts
Anthem at all?
response to the type of game that Destiny is from Activision, and I imagine with E3 coming up, getting here sooner, it's creeping up on us fast, and we'll probably hear a lot more about it then in June. But it's definitely kind of positioning itself to, I think they pushed it back to first quarter of next year. Yeah. And it's definitely kind of angling itself to be a Destiny killer. I'm sure they were sweating bullets during all the Battlefront microtransaction stuff, because they're like, oh god, our entire game is built around that system too. What do we do? Oh no. But I imagine that's something they're probably pretty aware of. And Destiny has very publicly made a lot of, from Destiny 1 to still ongoing with Destiny 2. I think the game is on the right track, but there's a lot of arguments to be made that Destiny has not made the best use of, I guess, the player base it has, the resources it has. Like, it feels like Destiny is leaving a lot on the table, and that if there is a game that, and there is very much potential, I think, for the audience that is the large vocal audience of Destiny to become vocal about something else very quickly if the right game comes along. So, I mean, Anthem is still so far out, and we know so little about it that it's way too early to tell, like, if that is going to be able to pull it off.
I am holding all judgment on Anthem thoughts, reactions, and whatnot until it releases, because given EA's track record, who knows? And it's really going to come down to what that game is, when it launches, and that's it.
Wow.
At this point, I have so little faith and trust in EA that I'm just going to wait and see. I'm not going to get hype about anything they do until they've proved that they've learned their lesson, and they're not going to try and just completely nickel and dime and screw the consumer as best as they can to just turn their games into money extraction machines. And that's just it.
I'm actually kind of scared for Anthem. I'm scared because if it fails, I think that's the end of BioWare as we know it. Like, BioWare has pulled all staff off of the Dragon Age reboot game that they were doing. They've pulled all support staff, except for the ones like keeping minimal live services on other games to make sure Anthem gets released as best as possible. And there was an interview that I don't know if I sent it to you guys or not, but there was a Kotaku interview where the creative designer of Anthem, or the creative producer, said when EA first announced that it was coming out in like third quarter 2018, they were like, no, it's not. That was never a realistic date. We don't know why they said that. So, yeah, I'm kind of scared for that game. I hope it does well.
Yeah, I think you're correct. I mean, EA has had the past couple of years. They've very much been picking up studios, letting them release like a game, and then grinding them into mush,
murdering them mercilessly.
It's BioWare has, let's just say, the name of BioWare it hasn't, I don't think it's gained a lot of good good vibes or feelings over the past few years. So
I don't care about BioWare at all, so let them release it and shut it down. Who gives a fudge? What?
Wow.
I don't know that I've ever played a game by them. And if they release a great game, great. If they release several crappy games in a row,
you heard it here first, folks. Human swine Josh rejects entirety of BioWare's legendary library. More at 11.
Yep. Speaking of, real quick, Josh is going to give you his tech minute because you've been missing it, and so many things have been happening, and then we'll probably wrap it up. So, one, graphics card shipments have dropped 40% in the last month or so, in the last quarter. Yeah. So, guys, get hype. The graphics card market might be returning to semi-normal, as
Should I start?
NVIDIA gets ready to launch its 11 series cards and probably ruin
Should
everything.
I start
all
huffing
over
my
again
Ethereum
because,
now or in 20 minutes?
Blockchain.
Now.
That's all I'm gonna say about that.
And AMD did it. They've really f***ed Intel this time. AMD released their second. They released their second series of Ryzen processors. They have gone from 14 to 12 nanometers, and they have pound for pound now basically gotten their processors to the equivalent frequencies that the Intel chips have, with more cores, and are cheaper. The Ryzen 2700X, their top of the line processor, 8 cores, 16 threads, 3.7 gigahertz base clock with a turbo up to 4.3, basically putting it on par with the i7 8700K with 6 cores and 12 threads, which retails for about $370 right now, on sale for about $340 without a cooler. That'll be important in a second. While the Ryzen 2700X retails for $329 and comes with an incredible AMD Prism RGB lighting, fancy ass, incredibly efficient cooler. So if you get the Intel processor, yeah, you get it for $20 more, but then you also have to go and buy a cooler for at least $30, $40, $50, $60. Yeah. AMD came out swinging, and then they came out swinging even harder. I don't know what Intel's going to do here. They really need to get their 10 nanometer together.
Same.
Because AMD is just going to continue to eat their lunch. And
your hatred for Intel for the past year is just
hey, I have an Intel CPU. Don't get me wrong. I probably would have gotten a Ryzen had I waited a little longer. But the problem I have with Intel is they just haven't innovated. They were supposed to have the 10 nanometer chips out over a year and a half ago. Then they come out with like this weird half-step processor, and then this weird half-step processor like 6 months later, and then they're talking about another processor in another 6 months. It's like they have completely segmented their market. They haven't done any innovation because AMD wasn't keeping up there for quite some time. And then AMD starts with these new Ryzen processors to eat their lunch, and they're like, oh, we need to do something. So they rush some shit to market, and they're like, ha, look, we put 2 more cores on it, and it's a little bit faster. Haha, we win again. And then Ryzen comes back and says, well, actually, no, we're doing the real innovation. F*** you, Intel. And I just...
It's kind of like, well,
Yep.
well, first of all, just Josh's beef with Intel started when his 8 nanometer stuff got dunked on by Intel's 10 nanometer stuff.
Are we still talking about processors
and really
or pieces?
just to translate this for everybody else. So basically, Intel was about to final flash on AMD's Goku, but Goku hit him with the level 3 warp Kamehameha, where at the last second, he transported behind Intel's Vegeta and lit that mofo up with the warp Kamehameha from the back door. And that's your Josh's Mike's Tech Minute translated. Brought to you by me. And Dragon Ball FighterZ.
And Dragon Ball FighterZ.
2018 Game of the Year. It's so great that we have it right now instead of at the end.
I don't know.
I don't know if it should come in first or first.
God of War, I'm starting to change my mind.
It's such a hard choice. See, but it's not though. It's not because it's the best. It's so good.
Tell you what, Mike. Until you touch and play for
I will never play Monster Hunter. Do not
World,
try to get me into Monster
hear you
Hunter.
talk about
I'm not doing this.
So ladies and gentlemen, he's afraid that he'll love it is the problem. Because he knows he'll love it.
Well,
I will not
this
play
has been
Monster Hunter with the
Unscripted
fox. I
Gaming.
will not play Monster Hunter with socks. I will not play Monster Hunter on a train. I will not play Monster Hunter on a plane.
And being patient on our brief hiatus. We really appreciate it.
Monster Hunter in my house. I will not play Monster Hunter.
Wait, Josh, before you sign off, I do want to appreciate everyone that did come back from the last channel that we have to this one. And we hope that you like the new format that we're using now, where the episodes are now a little bit shorter and broken up. And then there's a long form episode that you can just go ahead and listen to the whole thing if you want. Because we notice that a lot of people seem to fall off at around the 5 to 20 minute mark, just depending on your listening strategy. Of course, if you're listening to this on the full form audio podcast, well,
strap in,
still
folks.
Keep listening. I hope I'm coming through your car speakers.
Turn left now.
But so Josh, we haven't changed the social media platform.
Yeah.
Nor have we changed the
Oh man, that's
platform.
weird.
Where can they find us?
Okay, well, make sure you've subscribed to our new YouTube channel. You can also still find us at Facebook. Just put us in the search box on Facebook, Unscripted Gaming. You can follow us on Twitter at unscript_gaming. You can get us on Google Play Music. You can get us on iTunes. You can get us on Stitcher. You can get us on SoundCloud.com/unscripted-gaming. Get us in your earballs. Listen to us everywhere. Hit us up on Twitter. Chat with us. Interact with us. We love engagement. #brands.
If you send us a question, we
My
won't
name is
answer.
Josh.
We'll just read it and laugh at your bad question. So,
My name is Josh.
my name is Mike.
My name is Ray.
Peace.